Hey, Dustin Tibbits here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers, the 36th best advisor in the United States here. And I heard what you guys have been saying. You got to try some scotch. Here we go. This is Tullibardine. Tullibardine. Okay, family owned, independent. We believe in doing things the traditional way. Okay, see what happens here. I bought the bottle because someone made a recommendation, said I will not be disappointed. Oh, it smells kind of got a sweet, fruity. Oh my God, what are you guys doing to me? Well, that's different. It is more sweet and more like cherry oaky kind of a thing. It's not bad. It's probably an acquired taste, but I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one. Tullibardine. We're trying it here. Hey, this bottle was not $1.5 million, but we have clients all over the United States, American Samoa, Guam, and they now feel like they need $1.5 million as a minimum to retire. Does that make you feel behind? Like way behind, maybe? Kind of. Depends on how old you are, I guess. We're going to go over all of that. All right, check it out. 1.5 million, the new magic number for retirement. It's up 50% since 2020, and that has to do with inflation, right? We had some real problems there for a while there. And so people are saying, all right, to retire and be sort of comfortable. Now that everybody's going to have a different number there. We'll go over examples. Yeah, I'm going to need 1.5 million. Now, as a part of the survey, they felt that, remember inflation? We had that big issue there. Got up to 9%. Thankfully, it's calmed down since then. But they feel like, well, that's made a big dent, right? So now things cost more. Inflation didn't go negative, right? So now it's like, hey, that thing that was $10,000 is now, $11,900. It just doesn't feel like your dollar goes as far. So people say, well, I guess I'm going to need more money in retirement. There's also longer lifespan, right? So 3 in 10 of the millennials surveyed, and Gen Z, by the way, the younger crowd, thinks that they're going to live to be 100. And that's so true. So we have, let me show you this thing here. So we use a very simple planner. We built it out ourselves. And we put by default that you're going to retire at 65 and live 20 years. I can't tell you how often I see people change this number right here to living longer. That's fine. Makes it a little bit harder on paper, but understandable. And so that's one of the things that people decided there. Also, consumer confidence has been really all over the place lately, but if you look at it on a longer term perspective, it's unfortunately been quite weak. People are more hesitant to spend more money, especially now with these stinking tariffs that are coming along and stuff. He said, well, I'm not going to buy the washer and dryer. I'm going to let mine go a little bit further. I'm not going to upgrade my kitchen, my refrigerator, things like that. So that's kind of some of the major factors that are sort of driving the fact that people think more. Now, everyone's going to do the simple 4% rule here, so we're going to do it with you. This is how it breaks down. $1.5 million. If we took 4% out a year and assume that it's just straight up, right? That's $60,000 year one. The average Social Security right now comes out to $23,000, which gives you $83,000, almost $84,000 that you would have in annual income, at least on year one. Is that enough for you? Now, some of you are going to say, that's stupid. You can't survive, whatever. Some of you are going to say, I'll take that. That's fine. A lot of it depends on where you live, right? We went and found the best states for living there. 1.5 million lasted 54 years in West Virginia. Can you find West Virginia on a map? I can. I like states, but it depends on where you live. Mississippi, lower cost of living in Mississippi, at least there was. Alabama, affordable housing and more spread out, I would argue, by the way. And healthcare tends to be a little bit cheaper. Oklahoma has a lower total cost of living and more less expensive houses relative to these states. Hawaii, 1.5 million is going to last you 17 years. California is an obvious one. With 1.5 million, you can't do it in California. New York gives you about 30 years, but keep in mind that's the state of New York. That's not just Manhattan. A lot of people look at that and go, no, it ain't going to last. That is New York State. And Massachusetts, historically known for higher costs of living, of course, being up that way. Now, location. Would you move? Like, I think about that. Would I move to West Virginia in retirement? I think I would. I'd move to Alabama in retirement. I'd buy a place in Alabama now. But in West Virginia, you get 54 years, Hawaii, 17 years. That's the extreme, right? So going from one side to the other. Housing costs vary, healthcare costs vary. And of course, if you're, living in Northern California versus Southern California or something like that, let's assume you chose that. Well, there's going to be a climate difference. There's going to be different electricity costs and things like that. So location really matters there. Let's go back to the generation, by the way, because I don't want to scare everybody. If you are in Gen Z, you started saving at 22 years old and you expect to retire at 60 in this case, your target's 1.6 million, right? Damn. A millennial that waited a little bit too long, start saving at 27, you're going to go to 64. You need 1.6 million as well, according to what everybody thinks, right? There's always outliers. You're not saying everybody needs 1.6. And let me just say this, by the way, we have tons of clients. I would venture to say over 50 clients that do not have that right now and are retiring. And it's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. Now, they're not going to go on world cruises every year. I guess you couldn't do it every year, but they're not going to be doing that. But they're satisfied with their plan the way it is. So don't let this scare you. These are just generalizations to get you thinking. If you're Gen X historically didn't start investing until a little bit later. That's just according to Fidelity and American funds as well. So starting at age 31, working to 67, you need 1.56 million. And if you're a baby boomer, started saving at 37, a lot of them had focused on pensions being a good support system as well. So that doesn't really apply to Gen Z. 37, you retire at 72, you only need $990,000. So that's just a very general way to break through this here. Now, we have a problem. We need 1.5 generally, as we're saying here. The average American has only saved $88,400, which is not horrible. It's an average American, right? So that's across the whole spectrum of ages. 16% of retirees say that they have more than 1 million saved. I would say probably, I don't really want to guess. It's less than 20%, but I'd go closer to 10% of our clients have about 1 million saved. I'd go, actually, if you include all their investable assets, I'd probably say closer to 20%, actually. I'm thinking of their accounts here. 50% of retirees have less than 145,000 saved. That's according to Fidelity there. And 37% of retirees have no retirement savings at all. I double checked that number because that's not my data. Anyways, what do we do here? Well, you might have to consider your location. If you're in that 37% camp and you're like, I don't know, I haven't really saved anything. I'm going to be relying on Social Security and whatever, pensions, royalties, or whatever you have. We may need to change your location. Now, you can do that, right? We do this for a lot of clients where we go, okay, your goal is that you're going to have a relocation. You're going to go from one place to the other. I'm going to buy a home in West Virginia. We are going to account for that change in cost for you as well. So it's not the end of the world. Some people may not want to do that, but that is a possibility. Now, if you are watching this and you're like, I don't know, I just kind of got into this retirement stuff and should I start saving? Yeah. They always say the best day to start investing is yesterday. The next best day to start investing is today. So start working a little bit earlier. Now, if you don't have enough money, the tax strategy becomes really interesting here. So of the 50 plus clients that I mentioned a minute ago that don't have 1.5 million, how did we get them to survive? Tax strategies. Oftentimes that's the way to go. I would add to it, it's a tax strategy overlaid with a withdrawal strategy as well. Huge impact there. If you do nothing else from a planning perspective, focus on that. That's where the big dollars are there. Hopefully you'll work with a financial advisor like Jazz Wealth or somebody similar that's also pretty cool too and like not, stuffy and stuff. And then you'll work on your healthcare costs. We spend a lot of time with people on their healthcare costs when they're really close to being successful or not with their plan. We don't want to just throw basic numbers in there. And then the other part of it is everybody has a different number, right? Every single person has a different number because we all spend differently. I may be more frugal than you. It could be the other way around. So we're talking about what is it that you want as your retirement salary in the future? What kind of dollars you're looking for there. And we want to be able to play with your magic number. We will never, ever suggest that you need to save 12% of your income and just hope that works out. That's a very good general answer for somebody. But when it comes down to you individually, we need to know what your number is, right? Anyways, I hope that helped you in some way here today. Just some takeaways from what we find with our clients, having adjusted the fact that it's no longer $1 million. It is 1.5 million. Actually, it came back at 1.55, but we just rounded to 1.5. That's all I got. I will try to stay away from this. It's not bad, but I'm going to put that on the shelf. It'll be a nice little design for now because that's probably the responsible thing to do. Hey, enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and thank you so much for watching.